Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Beer and Skittles podcast. This week, we're talking video games, video games, video games, everything video games. It's been a huge week for video games as we had the Video Game Awards. So, everything that you've seen for all the games coming out, who's, winning best game and all that is we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about all the trailers that are dropped during the awards. We even had announcements before the awards and during the awards. We also have had major game updates recently with Fortnite, Dead by Daylight, Warzone 3. So, a shit ton of news for you for gaming. So, if you're not interested in video games, find another episode right now. But this is going to be an intriguing one because we have it's so much. I mean, games that we've been waiting for a long time, games getting revitalized, new games coming out, and just hearing who got all the awards and who got snubbed. I know Ray, you got a lot of statistics, and you know all the winners and got that all written down for us.
Yeah, so I'll start off with saying Baldur's Gate absolutely swept the Game Awards this year, and not surprisingly so, and well deserved. Baldur's Gate ended up winning Game of the Year. We had best game director being Alan Wake 2. Best narrative was Alan Wake 2. Best art direction was Alan Wake 2. These were definitely the biggest games. I think also with Alan Wake 2 being one of the newest of the nominees. It definitely is the last one to have been released, so it's fresher on people's minds. Which with some of the other games, sometimes that can, it's no different from the Oscars. You get a movie that released at the beginning of the year that's nominated for the following year. People tend to forget, so best score in music was Final Fantasy 16. Best performance was Neil Newbon from Baldur's Gate 3. We had best ongoing game, which is Cyberpunk 2077. I actually was happy about that. The game is much, much different now. Since Phantom Liberty and since the 2.1 update, it is a much better game. It's completely different. It's well deserved. Best mobile game was Honkai Star Rail. No real surprise there. Best community support was also Baldur's Gate 3. Best VR game was Resident Evil Village. Best innovation in accessibility, which the industry has seen a huge push towards, and Forza Motorsport won that award. Best RPG, Baldur's Gate 3. Best fighting game was Street Fighter 6. They actually beat out Mortal Kombat on that one. Best family game, I think, is no shocker, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Best action game was Armor Core. Best action adventure game was Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Racing game was Forza Motorsport. Best multiplayer game, Baldur's Gate 3. Content creator of the year was Iron Mouse, who's a VTuber, so that's actually really cool as well.
And for those of us listening, can you just describe what VTubing is? Because it's not really that big on the scene yet, which is why it is a big deal. But just not everybody, I think, is aware of what exactly VTubing is.
So VTubers are streamers, just like you'd watch anybody else that streams and plays video games, but they're using a virtual avatar. So we don't actually know what these people look like. They're using these virtual avatars, but the technology is when they talk, the cameras catch the lip movement and everything. So it's like you're actually watching this person. It's really, really cool. The technology has advanced to allow people to do this, and it allows people to kind of remain anonymous when making content and putting out content. So I think it also helps if people are a little more shy, and you don't want to be seen. I mean, video games has always been good for that. You can play online, and I'm sure we all have friends that we play video games with online, right? That we've never seen, we've never met, we just talk to. And this is like just the next step of that. Now you can create this virtual face to be able to do that, and people really like it.
Yeah, and it's a thing that when people start doing it, I think there's a lot of people that want to get into content creation, especially on the streaming side. I mean, why wouldn't you want to monetize your most fun hobby? Like if
Yep.
you're doing something you love, but then there's the risk of putting yourself out there.
Correct.
So especially if people have jobs and they don't want to, seem embarrassing to themselves, or kids that might still be in school that don't really want to, blast their face on the internet, or kids that want to start streaming young that their parents don't want them blasting their face on the internet, because that's a big thing now. Parents are, concerned about privacy and all that stuff, but content creation is an actual job now that kids could get into as young as they really want to. So there's a lot of benefits to it.
I was just talking with our cousins yesterday about it, and they were like, "What do you mean people make money playing video games?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a lucrative business. I mean, content creation is big, and there's a lot of money that can be made, but it is a full-time job. There's a lot of consistency that's needed there, and there's a lot of work. I mean, a lot of the streamers, VTubers, they when they play, they're playing for hours at a time. They're streaming for hours on end, 5+ days a week. That's a full-time job. I don't have the time to play 8 hours a day anymore like I used to. I wish I did.
I wish.
The last couple big games, most anticipated game of the year was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I am also really excited for, and we'll talk a little bit more for Final Fantasy in a bit. Player's Voice, which is the award that players vote on for their game of the year, essentially, Baldur's Gate 3. And then Best Adaptation was The Last of Us. So those were the real big awards. And there were a ton of announcements that followed or were in between. Before we even get into the announcements, though, I will say 18% of the 3-hour-long show, which I watched, was awards. A lot of the awards were kind of just rattled off without speeches, and when we did get speeches from people, the prompter counted down. It was like a 30-second timer before they started playing music, and actually had on the teleprompter, it said, "Please wrap it up," kind of ushering these people off the stage, which is insane. It's an award show, and it didn't feel like an award show. There were a ton of ads that played. There was a ton of announcements, which are awesome. I love new game announcements, but this is supposed to be about, just we're awarding these people. It's about the excitement of giving out to these people who put out the games this year that we're playing, and just, it's the word I'm looking for. I'm drawing a blank on it, but just it's not like the award shows. Yeah, we're gonna show off new things, but we don't watch the Oscars for new trailers, right? We don't watch the Emmys for new shows that are coming out.
No, and you're promoting new work coming out, but it's almost disrespectful to the people that already created the work that you're celebrating by overshadowing them on their own night. I mean, you can play trailers, of course, do it. No one's complaining about it, but if you're gonna cut down your time slots to fit in trailers, then there's a problem. Especially, right. I mean, it was an online streaming event. It wasn't like you're slotted on TV and you need to make the time. That the event could have ran for as long as you want. I don't think the venue was kicking you out.
Yeah, I think it is a bit ridiculous, and I get it. It's, if you wanted to compare it to all right, well, at the Grammys we have people perform, right? Okay, so you're gonna show off some new trailers, but 3 hours and only 30 minutes of it was actual awards and speeches. Especially when we get to speeches where, the developer of Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom is giving his speech in Japanese and then it has to be translated, you're giving them only 30 seconds or a minute at most to give his speech. That's outrageous. Like that, what do you, and you have to expect that these things are going to happen because game development happens all over the world. It's not just here. So you have to expect that there are going to be a lot of developers and people that English is not their first language. So when they're giving their awards, their speeches for their award, give them the proper amount of time to thank the people that made these games. The other thing is too, is that all of movies have a lot of people on set. TV shows have a lot of people on set. There are a lot of people that make these things happen, right? Music, you have producers, you have people in the studio. Video games arguably have way more people developing a game. And how do you expect to thank everybody in 30 to 60 seconds? You're thanking thousands of people, you know? It's not just, a couple dozen that made it happen, unless it's a small indie developer.
It's pretty nuts, but I mean, it's just I think notes that they should take for last year. It didn't go unnoticed on the internet, so hopefully they see the feedback that they're getting and they adjust in the coming years because it was just a disservice to the people that they were trying to give a night to.
Yeah,
but I mean, we still have to talk about it. There was trailers. There was good trailers.
There were some dope trailers. There were some dope trailers.
There's a disservice to show those trailers, but we're gonna fucking talk about them. I mean, there's some real cool ones. I mean, the one that stuck out to me was God of War. I mean, it's a franchise that's been going on for forever now. I mean, it is probably, I almost want to say, it might be the most known about and like the most popular like exclusive game on the market currently, and it has been, I think, for a while, especially for PlayStation. I mean, I don't know anyone else that's competing, especially with Halo not running anymore. I mean, like God of War is kind of it. Like
I think God of War is and it's been, I mean, the first God of War game came out on PS2.
Yes.
So the franchise has been running a long time. It's definitely, and it's the fact that it is still running, it is definitely one of Sony's biggest in-house games. I absolutely love God of War. I've played all the originals. God of War 3 was insane at the time when it first came out. And then it kind of went dark. Yeah, we had God of War Ascension come out a couple years later, and it was a prequel, and it didn't do all that well, but when the game returned in 2018 with the Norse setting and everything, it was phenomenal.
So how many God of War games do we have? Like
God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3. God of War Ascension, which was a prequel, and we had 2 games on the PSP, which were like they took place in between different events. That was Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta. And then God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. So you're looking at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games.
A shit ton of games. I mean, you never really see, just to sum it up, it's a shit ton of games. You never see story-based games like that, especially ones that follow a centralized character the entire time, last that long. I mean,
and
most
they haven't
of the games
changed. That's the other thing. They haven't changed the character.
No.
It's Kratos in all of them.
It's nuts. I mean, I'm literally trying to think. I mean, there's games that have been running for forever. I mean, fighting games run forever. Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, they all have dozens of sequels. I mean, you can think about, any war games like Black Ops, Modern Warfare, etc. They come out with a bunch of them, but it's the same game every year. I mean, sports games, Madden, 2K,
a game that has
FIFA,
the same protagonist.
I don't know if I can think of one
without being rebooted, because I can think of a couple. Like Tomb Raider's been running a really long time, but they've rebooted that game, so it's not the same. Like, yeah, it's still it's still Lara Croft, but it's not the same character. Essentially, it's a different iteration of her.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, following the same character for 8 games, it's
yeah,
impressive the fact that they
it
can
is.
keep pumping out story and the revitalization of God of War by bringing him into another mythology,
And
using another mythos.
changing the
It's
combat
genius.
and but still making it feel like a God of War game while
Oh,
also completely like upending the combat and like crafting it in a way that it makes it better. It's still hack and slash, but it's more refined in the camera work, everything. It's so cinematic. Um, this new DLC though is free DLC, which is even more shocking as
insane.
well. Yeah, as well as the fact that it is dropping on
The
December 12th.
12th.
So 5 days from when the Game Awards made the announcement. Um, crazy. And I hadn't even heard rumors. I didn't even hear rumors about the DLC beforehand, which I think that's definitely one of the things I'm most excited for. So I've already re-downloaded God of War onto my PlayStation to play on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. Especially you don't see free DLC nowadays unless it's a promotional, like it's skins or it's something
Yeah,
like
this is a
little
whole
quest.
game mode.
Yeah, that's insanity. The fact that they're just pushing that out there for free. I mean, that's almost something that you would see come out when the game was released. Like this
Yeah.
is part of the game. It's not like some separate.
Well, and this is the second big update because we already got New Game Plus
Mhm.
and new skins and everything in God of War Ragnarok. So this is actually really exciting. The game mode, it's a roguelite game mode, which is also different. For those of you that don't know, roguelite basically means as you go through and you fight waves of enemies, when you die, you restart. And you restart with nothing. You'll have to regain whatever stats you gained in that last run, but there is randomness to it, so it's not always the same.
Yeah, when you die, you die. That's it.
Yeah. But which if anybody who played Hades a couple years ago when that came out, that's the same type of gameplay. It has it's an older style of game that has come back and seen like a huge resurgence. PlayStation had an exclusive that came out a while back, Returnal, which was a shooter, a horror shooter, and that was actually a roguelite. But this is exciting. There's also the reveal at the end of that trailer of an ogre, and like the setting looks Greek. So I'm super excited to play and see, are we gonna like get more
Possibly
Greek?
get another Greek. Yeah, I mean that'd be cool. I mean, I think always the thought was that you know Kratos fought Greek gods, and then they
Mm-hmm.
switched to Norse, and you're like, holy shit, this still works. I think the game's going to continue revisiting mythos and creating and going against new mythos. I don't think Norse mythology is where we end the story of Kratos. I mean, I don't see why he can't go back to Greece. I mean,
I mean,
there's still
most
so
of the
much he
Greek,
can do. I think
most of them
still
are dead, but I do think it's
most.
interesting that what if he's going through Valhalla in this and he's seeing like ghosts of his past.
Mm.
And if we're fighting a Cyclops, what other creatures could we be fighting from the Greek games? But also any of the gods, any of the bosses. Are we going to get like a remake of the Poseidon fight? I would die to redo that. And I've seen people talking online about, is this actually like these assets they're showing off for the Greek setting? Could we be getting a remake of the old God of War games? And I think that could be possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's also another thing that I feel like gets a huge resurgence nowadays. I mean, you've seen Final Fantasy gets a remake like every other year. Resident Evil gets remakes. All these games are getting remakes and whatnot. I don't see why you wouldn't. I mean, like you said, the first God of War came out on PS2. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember. I replayed them. I think on PS4 because I got a bundle, but it wasn't like a remaster or anything. Like it was still playing your same graphics, but they did I think a 3 game bundle on it for God of War 1, 2, and 3. Um, if you update that game and do like a full remaster of it, I mean, the sales would go fucking through the roof. It's a great game, but I mean, it just doesn't hold up to today's standards. I mean, if
Yeah.
you just do a full remaster of all those games and you can run through again, oh my god, the amount of fun you could have on these new gen consoles with that would be insane.
Well, and it would be fun too to see if they were to remake the God of War games in the same way that the new ones are, where like you can move the camera around and the combat is the way it is in the newer games. It would be very interesting to go through and replay those. A couple other big trailers that we had. I'm gonna skip over one of the weirder ones for right now, but Jurassic Park Survival was announced, and I thought that looked really cool.
It's an interesting concept. I never really thought of a Jurassic Park video game being almost like, I can't tell by the trailer if they're gonna go in that straight horror route, but it seems like there could be at least be some cool and some pop scares coming out of it.
I mean, if you go back to the original Jurassic Park movie, there are elements of horror in there. So I think it does lean. This can lean into this survival horror of like somebody who was left behind when all the dinosaurs got out, and they're trying to just survive and get through the night and try to get saved. Especially, it looks like it'll be first person, and I don't think we're gonna have weapons. I don't think we're gonna be like shooting these dinosaurs. It's not gonna be an action
No.
game. I think it'll be similar to maybe like an Outlast, where you have like just a flashlight or something, and you're trying to get out. I would be interested too to see what other, like, are they going to stick true to just the original movie, or are we going to see other dinosaurs from maybe some of the later ones, that as well, that were like on the island?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see. I mean, especially like, I mean, when you talk about even going into, I mean, I think there's just sticking with the original. Maybe eventually
That's
might
what it
be
looks like.
sequels or DLC or continuations of the game that you might get later on. But then you're talking about all the nuances that you get out of Jurassic World. I mean, damn near
Yeah.
a whole different place. I mean, with which I think could also add fun elements. Like what is it? It's like the spheres that you're able to ride around in,
Yeah,
like
the
exploring some of
gyrospheres. Yeah.
that around the map, and just the new Jurassic World and how it looks, and going through all the exhibits and stuff there would also be cool. So I think this is just sticking to the original because they're using like the OG logo and it looks like the original
Yeah.
movie because there's like a scene damn near straight out of it with the raptors in the kitchen.
hmm I mean, it's a great start. It's absolutely a great
Yeah.
start to a franchise, and it would definitely be cool to see where they go. Even if it was DLC, they can do that. Definitely interesting because I don't think we're getting a Jurassic Park movie, another one anytime soon. So
No,
I'll take the game.
needed to stop anyway.
Plus, Capcom's not doing Dino Crisis, so I'm like, yeah, I'm on board for the Jurassic Park survival game. Then we got Blade was announced by Arcane Studios, who did Dishonored and more recently Redfall.
Which it looks all right. I don't really have much to say about it.
It doesn't show off a ton.
It doesn't show off anything except for the look, which seems to be a running theme when it comes to Marvel games. They love to just throw out a trailer that's just like, this is happening, instead of showing us even like a minute of gameplay. Like, give me like 30 seconds of gameplay, something that like I can like hold on to have hope for this game. Not that I think it'll be bad. I mean, it could be amazing for all I know, but I don't know. That's the thing. It doesn't give you an inkling of good, bad, or anything. It's, you watch it, you just kind of feel neutral. I mean, Marvel has had a Spider-Man game, the Wolverine game that's coming out. There's a lot of hype behind it. I mean, they have a lot of games in production. And if any of them are like the Spider-Man game, I'm sure they'll be huge successes. But what I got from the Blade trailer isn't the same feeling I got from the Wolverine trailer. The Wolverine trailer,
Really?
even though it didn't show you anything, like the original Wolverine trailer shows you nothing at all, but does a good job of building suspense, I feel, and bringing you to a moment of, especially because they're like, oh, Marvel, you're like, oh, what is it? What is it? What is it? What is happening? What? And then it shows just the claws and the just the fade of black. It does a great job of building excitement. Um,
Mm.
so it makes you want to play that game. The Blade trailer really didn't do anything for me. I saw it, I automatically knew it was Blade. It's a guy trying to give him a haircut. He gives a corny line, "I don't bite." Like it doesn't get me hype.
I think I'm excited, and I'm looking like I want a vampire game where there's like a ton of action. And um, I think it'll be cool. The setting is also in Paris. I think it's interesting to me as well that Blade is getting a game. Um, Meanwhile, DC's just sitting on like a treasure trove of characters, and none of them are getting adaptations at all. But like Marvel has announced a ton of adaptations. Like besides Wolverine, and we've gotten 3 Spider-Man games. Uh, there's a Captain America and Black Panther game in development. There's also an Iron Man game in development.
I mean, now that you're saying it, oh my god, DC doesn't really run too much in the game space.
Not anymore, but they used to. Like, look, the Arkham games
Yeah, the
were
Arkham
the
games were crazy, but it's Batman. I mean, they market Batman so much. Can you really think of DC games outside of
because well,
Batman other than Injustice?
I mean, Injustice is huge. I think the other thing is too is that Rocksteady was working on a Superman game, and the plug was basically pulled on it. Now we're getting Suicide Squad kills the Justice League,
which looks
which
trash.
it's a shooter. I don't know why the fuck they turned this game into a shooter. It doesn't make sense. If you were playing as Deadshot the entire time, okay, yeah, it's a shooter, but why is King Shark using guns? And Captain Boomerang isn't even using boomerangs. It's
Yeah,
completely
it's nuts.
idiotic.
But even before the Arkham games, do you remember the Batman animated series game where you could play with Robin and Batman and Batgirl and Nightwing? So even like that's a sick game. I mean, I played that game so much. That between that and the Ultimate Spider-Man game,
Well, Arkham Knights came out last year.
didn't get received well. And like we're still talking about in the Batman sphere. It's so not that true. It's easy to make any type of game, but
last year so at the Game Awards there was a Wonder Woman game announced. We got a Wonder Woman announcement last year at the Game Awards. We haven't seen or heard anything yet, but that is being developed. But I do think it is interesting that like there's like we could get a Flash game. Why don't we have a Flash game?
You could. I mean, there's so many lanes you can run in, but Marvel has always ran in, I think, multiple lanes. I mean, you've had multiple X-Men games, many Spider-Man games. I mean, now they're pushing for even different heroes. Yeah, before it was X-Men, Spider-Man. That was the only way you were getting games out, but now they're pushing the boundary. They're pushing out. You also have Marvel vs. Capcom. There's some Avengers games out there as well.
But then even Ultimate Alliance.
Yep, there you go. So I mean, they've more pushed the envelope, I think, in the game sphere, while DC just gives you Batman games. So I think there's other things that they could do that they're not doing. I mean, they kill it in animation, but it's not translating to video games. So, I mean, we'll see. But yeah, Blade. I'm sure it'll be great. It's a character that I think it works really well for gameplay. So I think he'll translate easily. Not worried about anything like that. I just wish that the trailer would have either given you some gameplay or did a better job of building the suspense of the game.
Yeah, and anybody that is wondering, this game is a Bethesda game, which means it will be an Xbox exclusive. For anybody wondering. And for all of the Sony fans that are upset by that news, this is how Xbox players felt when Spider-Man came out. Another really big and weird announcement, Hideo Kojima came out, and I also will say, because I know that I sent you all the trailers, when Kojima walked out, he walks out of a door that looks exactly like the door from PT, the playable teaser for the now canceled Silent Hills game. I just want to say, what an asshole. because we're never getting PT. Like, it's not happening. We're never getting that game. We're never getting Silent Hills, because Konami, just they canceled the whole thing. So we're not getting that game. For him walking out of the door, it's like, damn, you know what you're doing. You know we're not gonna get that. But he came out and he made an announcement. He showed off a trailer, which was barely a trailer. And it's not for Death Stranding 2. It's for a completely new thing called OD. You really just get like a close up of everybody kind of just reciting the same dialogue, but differently, until the last person just basically screams. Very, very weird trailer. I couldn't tell you what the game's going to be about. Couldn't tell you what I think is going to happen. I have no idea. Kojima is also revolutionary in the industry. He, since his work on Metal Gear Solid, he pushes the boundaries, and he's constantly creating new things and creating new experiences for players. He's working with Jordan Peele on this game. That was the other big part of the announcement for that. I don't know what Jordan Peele's involvement is going to be. I don't know if he's helping writing or crafting the story.
But it's a cool announcement. I mean,
it is.
I mean, you've seen what Jordan Peele has done in the horror space in movies. I mean, he could put out 3 bangers that I think are helping shape the genre and creating new things and giving diversity to the genre that was well needed. So seeing him in the game space for horror, I think you might have a fucking hit on your hands. You're right. The trailer gave us damn near nothing, but it was interesting. It kept me watching the screen. It makes me wonder what this game's about. It gives you nothing, but again, the exact opposite thing of what I said of Blade. It made me like wonder what this game's gonna be, and it made me feel suspense for it. So what's it gonna be? No fucking clue. But based on who's attached to the titles and how the trailer kept you, intrigued.
He said that the game is not just a game. It's like a movie, but it's not a movie. I'm excited to see what he's created and what he's crafting. He also said that Jordan Peele's not the only person he's working with. He has a whole team of collaborators. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Guillermo del Toro is working on this game as well. He's been trying to get a horror game made for a long time, and he already worked with Kojima on Death Stranding. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see his name end up popping up. I think this isn't the first time either that we've seen people that don't make video games work with video game developers. George R.R. Martin worked with the team to make Elden Ring. Mm-hmm. He helped create the lore and everything for that. So it is really cool when you see people kind of step into this. I think it's awesome. The video game industry, like video games as a whole, it's storytelling. So people who write books like George R.R. Martin, or people who make movies like Jordan Peele, this can be another avenue for them to tell stories and to bring more stories to life and in a different way. Part of when I talked earlier about people not having enough time to give speeches at the award show, Kojima and Jordan Peele, they talked for like 10 minutes or more about this trailer that really wasn't a trailer. I think they probably could have cut that time down, which would have given people time to give their speeches. Because really, what are we talking about? He didn't reveal like what the gameplay is going to be like or anything. So it's like, what are we talking about here for 10 minutes?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Again, I think the feedback that they're going to get this year is going to make them want to change their format for the upcoming years.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, also plenty of stuff happening in the horror game space, right? I mean, we have a Dead by Daylight universe trailer, like it's something in the same universe, but not Dead by Daylight, which looked amazing. By the way, another trailer that almost gave you nothing, but again, it kept me intrigued. It really made me think that this looks amazing. It's put you in a space to where it feels like it's going to be scary. Like it feels just from the trailer, like you're like, oh, it's very menacing. It looks like a nightmare.
Yeah.
just
Yeah, it does.
manifested onto the screen, which I think it looks amazing. I don't really play Dead by Daylight. I know you're much more versed on it, and you might know more about this trailer and what might be coming. But to me, it looked dope. It looked like something that does exactly what a horror game's supposed to do. And
And honestly, this might, I think, so it is a single player game, or it's Supermassive, so it might be multiplayer, but it's a story driven game, I should say.
hmm,
Um, and this might bring people who don't play Dead by Daylight into that, because they might play this and say, well, how do I get more of this? And then you go over to the main game. Um, so Dead by Daylight, or DBD for short, is an asymmetrical horror game. So it's one killer versus four survivors that are trying to repair all the gens on a map and open the door and get out and not get hooked and killed by the killer. Um, this game, this new one, is being made in collaboration with Behavior by Supermassive Games. Supermassive Games created Until Dawn, The Quarry, and the Dark Pictures anthology. They're known for their butterfly effect style storytelling, where you're with a group of survivors and everybody can live or everybody can die and everything in between. So there's huge replayability there. I'm super interested in how they're going to do this. In DBD, it's like they pull killers and survivors from different like worlds and timelines and everything. The entity that is doing this is pulling them to see who can survive and, for the killers to try and win. The name of the game is The Casting of Frank Stone, and part of me, even from watching the trailer, makes me think like this guy has found something and he's like, this is his like audition. The Casting of Frank Stone makes me think like his audition for being pulled by the entity into the world of Dead by Daylight, and to do this kind of like forever. But I'm sure Supermassive Games is also known for their twists and turns in their games, so I wouldn't be too shocked if the game also takes a completely different direction, partway through playing, and it turns into something completely different. Really, really excited. I love playing DBD. It's a really nice game to just kind of like sit back and chill, and not really chill because
yeah,
it's
no.
stressful, but like I'm not. I can stop at any time. I'm not like playing God of War where I'm like, or like Final Fantasy where I'm putting hours and hours into it at a time. I can just kind of play a couple matches and get off, like Call of Duty.
Yeah. And I think another interesting part of this is that you're seeing a game being created based off of a game like that, an ongoing game with
Mm-hmm.
that's online. So you're seeing there's going to be an interconnectedness, I'm sure.
Yeah.
By the time it's done, I mean, I'm guessing maybe on the release of the game, they might, throw some stuff in Dead by Daylight, to get Dead by Daylight players to play that game and get the people that play the Casting of Frank into Dead by Daylight, So there'll be an interconnectedness. Maybe you'll see some modes in Dead by Daylight that have to do with it. You might see
Mm-hmm.
some other stuff, which is cool. I can't think off the top of my head games that have really done that. I mean, when you think about the space that's in. So
Yeah, I mean,
it
it's
could be
definitely an
interesting.
expansion. And Dead by Daylight's already huge. They're already a much bigger game than they were, when they first came out. Where at the point where like this year alone, we've gotten Nicolas Cage as a survivor. We've gotten the Xenomorph as a killer. We've gotten uh, Stranger Things back into the game, and Chucky was just released as a killer, who's absolutely terrifying in the game. He's way too tiny, he moves too fast, and he cusses you out when he hits you. It's horrible, but it's a lot of fun. Like it's so much fun, but he's terrifying. And the game, like those are all aside from their original characters and killers that they have in this game, they're pulling huge licenses at this point. Like Alien's a license that they got from Disney. They worked with one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world to be able to get that killer in the game. So really the sky's the limit right now for them as far as like what other licensed characters are going to come in, and where do they expand. I know that they're also doing a movie that Blumhouse is working on, so I wouldn't be shocked if this is just this spin-off game that Supermassive is doing is just the beginning of an expansion for the Dead by Daylight universe.
It'd be criminal if we have a video game episode and we don't talk about the biggest video game trailer to probably ever come out, the most anticipated thing in video games for I don't know how long. GTA 6. GTA is a massive game franchise that has been corrupting all of our minds since we were children that shouldn't have been playing it. And it left off on a great game with the GTA 4, and I think there was 2 spin-offs after 4 with the Ballad of Gay Tony and another one, which were just like mini games. But
Yeah.
So they left off on a high note there, and then they come back with GTA 5, and they did something that we never thought would get from GTA, which was one, we got an online mode, which is still being played till this day. To give a frame of reference, that came out on, was that late PS3 or early PS4? Remind me.
For GTA 5?
Yes.
GTA 5 originally, I want to say that was PS4. But let me double check for you.
Even so, early PS4. Like, it's been,
Yeah.
I think, about a decade since GTA 5 has come out, and it has an online mode that is still being played till this day, which is kind of it's insane.
2013, so it came PS3 and PS4, or it started on PS3 anyway. That game has also been like re-released on every console since it came out. Because like you said, everybody's playing it.
I still have it downloaded on my PS5. So yeah. It's not that game has ran for so long. Not only does it have an online mode that holds up for the test of time, because it gave you full customability of a character, which if anybody knows me, that's like my favorite thing a game can do, is let you make a character and run wild. As well as the story mode. The story was so intriguing. It gave you 3 characters to play as, which isn't something that we got before. So you're going through 3 different stories that are interconnected with each other. It's amazing. I mean, again, you thought from GTA you're just gonna, you're gonna shoot people, you're gonna steal cars, you're gonna pick up a prostitute, like you're gonna do all this crazy stuff, but you don't think about the story of the game, and it really did deliver you an amazing story with iconic characters, which again is so great. So then they did that, and we had been waiting a decade for nothing to come out, and now they just released the trailer for GTA 6. So again, one of the biggest games ever, so the most anticipated trailer to be for at least the past decade. GTA 6 just got released.
It is a return to Vice City, so anybody who's played the old GTA games, all of the settings are fictional cities that are based on real life ones. So GTA 5 being set in San Andreas, which is essentially Southern California. This one, Vice City, is a play on Miami. It looks incredible. When they showed like the beach, the number of people that are just hanging out on the beach. It's funny, a lot of people were talking about how this game has taken so long because they went down and they studied Florida. Because a lot of like the people in the background and the stuff that's happening, you can go and find like clips of like that exact thing happening like on the news or on social media from down in Florida. Because it's a wild place. It's insane. There's also multiple characters in this one, similar to GTA 5. We're getting like a Bonnie and Clyde type story. And the other big difference is that one of the playable characters is female, which is awesome. I cannot wait to play this story and see. I've seen some people say that the story from watching the trailer might even play in reverse, that we might start with, because at one point she's in jail, so we might not act like all of that stuff might be like flashback type stuff as well. Like when we're playing as her, she might already be out, but we might go back and play some of that early stuff of what got her to where she is.
Yeah, it looks nuts. The game itself, I mean, I think the map looks more expansive. I know at some point they were
It's
showing
huge.
like swamp people. So like if you know anything about Florida, I mean, the place is fucking huge. And from going down to southern Florida all the way up to northern Florida, it's centralized to Miami, but it seems like they're expanding out past the walls of Miami for a little bit because again,
Yeah,
they should like swamp people, which is
like the
southern,
Everglades and everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
Everglades, and then so you might be getting an even more expansive map than we've ever seen before. Which I mean, GTA is free roam, so that just makes again the replayability of the game, the amount that you'll just go in there with an inexpensive map, um, is insane. Um,
and we still don't know a lot. That's the other thing. Like
no,
there's a ton of rumors that were out before the trailer that the setting might be in the 80s, so like during like the war on drugs. Um,
mm-hmm.
that stuff could still be true. We could be getting flashbacks and whatever to some of that stuff. There's were also rumors of like there being more than one setting, so there would just be the one map of Vice City, but other locations as well. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. And again, we don't have all the information. This is just the first trailer, our first look at the game. There's going to be a lot more information to come, and this game is not releasing.
Until 2025, I believe
Yeah,
they have the release.
so
So Adam,
plenty of time to
yeah, at
announce
max you
more.
have at max you have like another 2 years, if it doesn't get pushed back
If
anymore.
it doesn't get pushed back, that's the key there. And it's a huge game, so I wouldn't be surprised if it does. And at the end of the day, a delayed game is better than a rushed, unfinished game.
Yeah,
So,
which I don't think they'll do. I mean, I think they put out a perfect release for GTA 5, and for this one, I think it's gonna be hard to compete. I mean, again, GTA 5 was one of the most massive games to ever um, touch the screens. I mean,
I think it's gonna break all of GTA 5's records.
it might, but I feel like it's almost a recipe to be disappointed. The build, a decade of build. You're talking to me. GTA 5 is like Avatar, for movies. Like the build, you have a decade worth of build from this thing that was so praised and so beloved, and then
But I think
you wait so long and then
the
you
hype
drop.
is I think the hype is going to get like look.
The hype's gonna make you buy it, but what is
Yeah,
the
exactly.
reception gonna be? And I do have faith in the studio that they'll do it right, because in GTA 5 they just released story mode and then they did the online mode after the fact. I think they are doing the same thing with GTA 6, where they are gonna give you the online mode because it was such a success. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But I don't think they're doing it initially on release, which is a great idea, especially because GTA 5's online mode, while being so fun, ended up being very hacky and broken, very, very soon into it. So I think they're going to do the right thing and say, hey, play the story because it's going to be a good story, and they're going to allow you to do that, and then wait to give you the online mode again, to give you more replayability, which is the right move. Dropping all of that at one time is almost a recipe for disaster. Something will go wrong with your game.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of people are going to jump right into online mode if it's at launch. How many people are then going to just play through the story? You want people to experience it. You put a lot of work into that. So let people do that and then give them the ability to run around and cause mayhem. Another interesting thing I want to bring up, because I've seen people on social media flipping out. And this part is just funny to me. Andrew Tate is screaming about banning GTA 6, because like you have the one girl in the car twerking in the trailer and everything and stuff, and he's like, you GTA makes you shoot cops. This isn't a kid's game. And
It's not.
Normally I wouldn't agree with him because I don't like him as a person, but I agree with him. It's not a kid's game. You're absolutely right.
You have to be 18 to buy it.
If only there was a thing on the box that said, "Hey, this isn't for kids, and you have to be a certain age to buy it." That might help, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all know it. I mean, again, I was playing that game before I was 18. Well, before
Yeah.
you were too. I mean, you know the deal. You go up, you ask dad, you go, hey, is this game out? I kind of
But
need you to go to the register with me,
and at
so
that
that I
point
can
too,
play it.
it's the parents'
The
decision
parents'
to get it for their
decision,
kids if
yes.
they want. But also, this is not new to GTA.
No.
This idea of people trying to ban it because of what it is, because of the prostitutes or whatever. This is not new, and the franchise has survived. So it's just funny that people all of a sudden are like, "Oh, we gotta cancel GTA 6."
Yeah, good luck.
Why?
Never happened.
No.
I mean, on the track of massive news, I mean, it's my time to shine. Fortnite, big
Yeah,
updates have
it's all
happened.
you. It's all you.
I've been trying to get this motherfucker to play Fortnite for a while now, and I think I'm gonna wear him down with these new updates.
I did, I will say, I did. I have it downloaded, and I did buy some skins, a while back, just because I was like, all right, when I do come in, when I do play, I'm gonna need this character. I'm gonna need these skins so I can. So I did do that.
which is a great launching point for us right here. There were some leaks of upcoming skins coming out, and the big thing with Fortnite, I think, is that they've always killed it in the space of skins and whatnot. I mean, I have countless skins. I mean, they know how to make you spend money. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
because they work so much with other different studios and partnerships and whatnot to give you all of your most beloved characters. I mean, I just got an Invincible skin the other day. I have like a Moon Knight skin. The amount of Marvel skins they have, I have a Beast Boy skin. Like, it's insane, and they have amazing designs. I mean, you wouldn't buy them if they didn't, and they do a great job of adapting those characters into the same animation style and giving you the best version of them. And also, the cool thing is when they work with like different animations and anime and whatnot, they have like a specific style for like anime characters. So like that's also a cool thing they do. But the leak was Ninja Turtles. They're giving you all four turtles, and they look amazing.
It might be their best designs.
Oh,
Like it might be the best I've seen the Ninja Turtles.
yes, I do actually believe that they might be the best design for the turtles. I haven't seen if they're having anything else come out with them, with different pickaxes and gliders and whatnot, or if there's going to be other characters in the universe. But from what we know, we have the four turtles. So excited as soon as they drop because they haven't come out yet, but they're slated to be out in December. So they showed a bunch of skins, and they're all supposed to come out this month before the new year. So as soon as they drop, I will definitely be spending some money on those, which is amazing. But the biggest news I think for Fortnite was that they just had Fortnite OG, which is a little before my time of playing the game. But when the game first released, it was a massive hit. You know, it's been developing since 2017, 2018, if I remember correctly. And the complaint has been just that it's not the same Fortnite that it was when it released, the thing that people loved. I don't see it, but I also joined the game later. So to me, I think it's nostalgia talk. I think the game is just as good as it ever has been, if not better. I mean, I started in chapter 3 or chapter 4, which is later, which they said when I started was a good time as well. But again, as it keeps going, you know, the game wants to progress. If the story wants to evolve, people don't like that because they want the game that they played years ago. Which is harmful to the game. That's how things get boring.
Yeah.
But they brought it back as a game mode for a good like month or 2 months, and it went insane. It was all that any streamer was doing. It was the talk of Twitch that Fortnite OG was back. All of the pro gamers, all of the original content creators, were all playing Fortnite.
Jump back on, yeah.
Yeah, the streaming numbers were going insane. I mean, like people were saying, like I haven't had this much fun on stream in so long. Like because we talked about it earlier, streaming is a job. It's
Yeah.
100% a full time job, and you can get exhausted of it. So they're like, this was so refreshing. Like I feel like when I first started streaming again, when I was having fun,
Mm.
which is great. You know, that's good for the community. I think it's good
It's the
for
nostalgia of it too.
Yeah, it's 100% the nostalgia of it because I played the season and I was like, it's all right. But I didn't have experience with it. So I can understand where people are coming from.
Hmm.
Uh, but there's numbers on streams. They're like, we haven't had this like Ninja's the biggest streamer in the world. I mean, he has more competition nowadays because he's older, and then there's all these new people that come in, and there's so many people in the space. But he was the streamer. I mean, he
Yeah.
was the guy that made you think, "Oh, I can do this and be famous." Like not just I hop on
Yeah.
Twitch and my friends watch me, or I get a couple bucks a month. Like I can make money. I can get sponsorships. That was Ninja. He did that. Um, and he was like, I haven't had this many viewers since OG Fortnite was like a thing. Like there
Well,
was
because that's the
record
thing
break.
too with like playing. It's and the thing that I think prevents a lot of people from getting into streaming and um still kind of on topic with what you're saying is it's you don't have to be the best player. I
No,
don't watch people stream because I'm like, oh, I'm looking for the best
there's also
Fortnite player, the
entertainment
best.
value.
It's the entertainment of it. It's the entertainment that they provide when they play. It's not
Mm.
about me watching and seeing the best because some streamers I watch, I'm like, I'm better at that game. Or I watch them like go through and they're doing stuff, and I'm like, no, it's not there. It's over there. Like, go do this. Go do. And like I'm yelling at the screen because they're not doing it, but it's not. It's
Well, I believe at first, I think content creation with gaming was the best of the best. Like you
yeah.
weren't hopping on stream, people weren't watching you unless you were the best. Now there's two lanes for gaming. There's pro gamers and there's
Hmm.
content creators.
Yeah.
The content creators are amazing at the game because they play it 8 hours a day minimum every single day. But they're
Yeah.
not the pro gamers that would fucking shit on you. Like if you saw them in a lobby, you would not last 2 seconds. Those kind of guys, but they're still amazing. So they bring you the value of you have to be good at the game, but they're also they're the people with
They're funny. They're
personalities.
entertaining.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, so, but OG Fortnite was a big deal. It came out, and people were like, "I hope this lasts forever." It didn't, which I think is a good thing. The game has to evolve. So they did an event where Fortnite's known for events. They do an event, the whole world gets scrapped. They do a whole new thing. You're supposed
Hmm.
to love it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. There's a concert involved with this one. Eminem was there. Why? I don't know. Wasn't complaining. It was pretty
Why
cool.
not?
Um, and so everybody's hope, or a lot of people's hopes, was that they would take the mechanics of OG Fortnite and just give a simple game like they used to after just having OG Fortnite. It's not what happened. They went to Fortnite Underground. They changed the mechanics. They changed how you shoot your guns. They added mods to the guns. Um, a plethora of things that are different. So the colors aren't so bright. Everything looks a little more realistic. It doesn't look like Call of Duty, but it looks a little more realistic, which people were complaining about. Shut up. Why does it matter? Um,
Hmm. It'll change again.
yeah, it's like it's stupid. And then so your moving mechanics, they made them more realistic looking, more smooth. If you look at them side by side, they only really look different. The speed of them is off by like this much, and if you're on audio, my fingers are damn near touching with how close these things are, but the moving mechanics are different to look more real, um, and to look more smooth, and so that you can do certain things. uh, it's it's fine. Stop complaining. They added mods to the
Whoa,
gun, which
whoa. They need to complain.
you give me content to create, so thank you. Keep complaining. Um, they added mods to the guns, which I think is a genius idea. I mean, you can
Like
take
mods in like a way that like Call of Duty has mods.
so you can there's I think 4 or 5 different types of scopes that you can add on any gun now. So if you want, you can add a
Okay.
sniper scope to your shotgun. I don't know why you would put a 4x scope on your shotgun. However, what I did realize is that I do like putting a red dot on my shotgun. It's awesome. You
Hmm.
can add drum mags. You can put on twin mags. You can, put on suppressors, and you can put on different things to help with your recoil and to, basically help that that gun. And the higher class
I'm
gun
intrigued.
you have, the more it has with stock parts on it. So like if you get a gray gun, it has nothing on it. If you get a gold gun, it'll have 4 different things on it. Sometimes you'll pick up a gun and you'll pick up a sniper with just a red dot on it, and you're like, this is useless. So because it's not an actual sniper scope. And sometimes you'll pick up just a regular AK and it has a sniper scope on it. And you're like, this is hard to use. I think it brings so much more to the game. I think it's more fun. I think, and also they change the game mechanics. You have drop off. If you're gonna shoot a 300-yard sniper shot, you're gonna have drop off. You have to account for that, which is great. I think it makes the game more fun to play.
It's an element that Battlefield's done in the past, and
yeah,
it's part of the reason why I love the Battlefield games for that, the realism on that.
Yeah,
on that side.
They nerfed the scopes because if you used to have a red dot scope, basically if you zoomed in, you were locked on your target. Like it automatically damn near put you there. Now you have to manually run your way through, which is better. If someone has a red dot, you're not just going to get mowed down in 2 seconds. I think the game is more fair now. I think the game is easier to play for everybody, where it's more challenging for the people that are really good at it, and it doesn't really affect the people that aren't.
But it wasn't the only new thing, too, right?
No, they added 2 new modes to come with the game. So other than the map changes and the whole new mechanics, they also added a Lego mode, which was exciting, to say the least. They didn't come out with it at the launch of the new season. They want people to get used to the new season, which, as we just talked about for GTA, it's the right way to go. Let people enjoy the game, then give them
another thing to explore. Yep.
So the Lego mode came out on Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember, but Wednesday or Thursday the Lego mode came out, which it's basically Minecraft in Fortnite, but with Legos. You have a brand attached to it, which makes it so much bigger. You're not playing with building blocks, you're playing with Legos. It's exciting, it's fun. They made alternate versions of a lot of the skins as Legos, which is also pretty cool. Like they didn't say like, oh, you have to restock your, like, no, your skin just turns into a Lego, which is pretty cool.
Also, they just carry over.
Yeah, not every skin has it. So like I have like a Spider-Man skin. They don't have a Lego Spider-Man. But for like I think probably 80% of my skins like just turn into Legos.
That's awesome.
So, it's pretty cool. It's a good way to go about it instead of saying like, oh, now you got to buy all these Lego skins and unlock all these Lego skins and do all this stuff. No, like certain skins just have Lego options to them, which is cool. I played the Lego mode. I think it puts them into a new realm. I think it puts them into a new space. I think it opens them up for allowing more people to play. Like I was telling my girl, I was like, I don't think you'd like Fortnite. I think it would stress you out. I think you would have an anxiety attack trying to do all of these things, but you'd probably like the Lego mode. You would probably actually have fun just building, exploring. You can play survival, which is just, oh, let me fight off a wolf, but like, I think it opens you up to people that don't want the stress level of a shooting game, especially with one with all the complications of Fortnite, like building and whatnot. So it opens you up to another audience. The next mode they did, it came out Thursday or Friday, again, the day after the Lego mode. They did a racing mode. They have a collaboration with Rocket League. They've collaborated with Rocket League in the past, to where they had the Rocket League cars in the game. But now there's a full-on new racing mode in the game. I just played it right before we hopped on. It's so fucking fun. Another thing, it opens you up.
I do like racing games.
It gets to the point where there's almost a reason not to play this game, because it's giving you so many options of things that you can do. Why wouldn't you play it? You can do a racing game. You can do, a survival, Minecraft type of game. You can play the builds mode, or the introduced a year ago the no builds mode.
No builds. Yep.
If you just like more of the classic
The
shooters.
battle royale. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so many different modes, and then there's also the creator worlds. Creators make their own worlds all the time,
which is awesome. Yeah, I've seen some really, really cool, and like using that engine, I've seen people recreate like old games. They were like, oh well, since such and such studio won't remaster this game or remake it, I'm gonna do it myself in creator mode on Fortnite.
The maps that they make are ridiculous. It's awesome. Like fuck, there's like a Zone Wars Family Guy where you're in Quahog. Like it's nuts.
What I will say too is it's insane that all of these things are running in game. It's not separate downloads. Like you're not like, oh yeah, I have to launch Fortnite Lego or Fortnite Racing or what. Like it's all in game. It's one.
It takes 2 seconds. You just switch over to game mode, and you're there. It might take like 30 seconds to where it'll say matchmaking, updating, whatever, but that's it. And that's only when you first initially launch something that you've never played before.
And I will say too, and I know that some skins got pulled recently. I think some skins are no longer in the game. They won't be cycling through the shop anymore. This might have been last season that this happened, but Fortnite as a whole is one of the craziest crossovers ever fucking made. Like you can join a match and you're like, you can play as John Wick or LeBron or Ariana Grande or a number of superheroes, horror villains. Like it's just insane.
They had Michael Myers in the shop for Friday the 3rd, for Halloween recently. Now they have the Christmas skins in. They just had a huge rotation with DC and Marvel skins. The John Wick
Star
skin
Wars
is legendary.
There's a ton of anime.
Always moving in. Yeah, anime. I have My Hero Academia skins.
Yep. Jujutsu Kaisen had skins.
And they also,
I think Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan does have skins. I have a Mikasa skin and a Levi skin. It's dope. And they also don't just stop there with like, oh, you can look like your character. Especially on the anime front, they've been killing it with collaborations on animes.
Yeah.
You can there's different things that they'll add in from the anime. So like when Attack on Titan was a thing in the store, they brought in ODM gear, so you could travel around the map using ODM gear, which is awesome. When they're doing collaborations with Spider-Man, there was Spidey webs, so you could get web slingers, and you can swing around the map on Spidey webs. With the My Hero one, there's a Deku Smash, so you could pick up a Deku Smash.
I did, when My Hero launched on the game, I did play a little bit, and yeah, I was getting the One for All and doing the Smash. It was awesome, and I know they've done it too with Dragon Ball.
They have the Nimbus Clouds, and they have the Kames.
Yep.
So yeah, the game has gotten insane, and I think they're to a point where they are moving into avenues that aren't their own. And it's
now, are they doing the shows thing, like with the musical people? Is that like just still random, or?
Yeah, I don't know how they pick them, but they've done it with Travis Scott, the Kid Laroi, and Eminem.
I think Travis was the first one they did.
Travis was the first one back when he was big, doing like McDonald's commercials and shit. So I mean, how they do it, I don't know. Like this one was big because they did it during an event. Basically every year, roundabout every year, they do an event, which is when because there's chapters and seasons. So like chapter whatever, season whatever. Basically every year the chapter changes. And basically they scrap the map, they scrap the skins, they scrap everything, and they give you something new. Sometimes they'll bring in some stuff that's old, and they just kind of move forward. So the Eminem one was a big deal this time because they did it during one of those events. Because they have a story that goes with it. Not everybody pays attention to it, but there's a story that goes in Fortnite from the original conception to now. Why the island gets scrapped. It's not like, oh, here's a thing. No, like they go through a whole thing where
there's community, a reason behind it.
The community can fight a giant boss together. on these event days, and go through like stuff, and it shows you why things are happening and how we got to the next thing. Does it always all make sense? No, not really. But there is a story. It moves along. It's cool to follow. And yeah, the collaborations are dope. I mean, this season we got jacked Peter Griffin. He's literally a boss on the map. You have to fight jacked Peter Griffin to enter a vault in
I
one
mean,
of the towns.
it's something to say. Like Fortnite has also changed, you know, video game development and just the industry as a whole. The whole idea of seasons and all of that, it came from Fortnite, and it changed the way that major games today are developing. Call of Duty no longer does like the DLCs anymore, like the map packs.
Yeah, where
It's
you
it's
would
now
buy the
season based.
$70 game and then you'd have to spend $20 every couple of months to get new maps.
Yeah, no,
Fortnite
it's
said, have it all for free.
yeah,
It's
and a lot of studios have moved into this seasonal kind of format, and it's interesting.
it's damn near the whole reason why they have that category of ongoing games at the Game Awards.
Yeah,
Um, like,
and that's the other thing. I do play a few like ongoing games. I think the ongoing game I play the most right now is probably Genshin Impact. Um, Mainly because I can play on my phone, so I can play on the go. I absolutely love it. The world building is amazing. If you're a fan of Legend of Zelda, check out Genshin. If you like anime, check out Genshin Impact. It's incredible. Um, I think there are other games that are ongoing that have been going on for a long time, and like they actually got some announcements at the Game Awards, like Warframe, which is a PlayStation exclusive,
mm,
which is perpetually in beta. Um, they've decided, and that game has been going on for 10 years now. And they just announced their next expansion. They showed off more of it at the Game Awards, and they're like, "Yeah, we're just going to keep going. This game is not going anywhere." It's a big game. It has a lot of people that play it. It's incredible. I don't really ever hear bad things about Warframe. Um, Another one like they got DLC this year. They get a big one every year, similar to like Fortnite getting their big thing every year. Is Elder Scrolls Online.
mm.
Uh, I don't really ever hear bad things about it. It's got a huge player base and people love it. People love the Elder Scrolls game, so ESO is huge. There's also Final Fantasy Online, which is huge. Final Fantasy is just a big title in general. We didn't get to talk about Final Fantasy 16 at the Game Awards because they did get DLC announced, one of which launched that same night. Um, Final Fantasy 16, the director of the game did just say too that game is not, as far as he knows, they're working on this DLC and that's it. They're not doing a spin-off. They don't plan on doing a sequel. They kind of want to do the next thing. So, probably Final Fantasy 17 or another remake.
Talk
Which
about ongoing games. Jesus Christ.
my hope is that after Final Fantasy VII's remake is done, we get a Final Fantasy X remake. That's one of my biggest dreams. I don't know that it will happen, but Tetsuya Nomura is also a madman when it comes to developing games, so I wouldn't be shocked if he's like, yeah, I'm taking on another big project because I finished redoing Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. Final Fantasy is definitely one I have to get into. Final Fantasy got ruined for me because I start. You hear it's fucking 16 games. It's a shit ton. I started playing on the wrong one. I think it was either 12 or 13. I want to say it was 13.
Yeah, Lightning.
Yeah, it was trash. Everybody told me that one was trash. But that was just the one that came out when I wanted to play it. And so it got ruined for me. I didn't like the gameplay of it. But I hear it's updated now. Like the gameplay is different. It plays more like Kingdom Hearts, which is one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah, they started that with Final Fantasy 15. And all of the 7 remakes are like that. 16 is like that. More of the Kingdom Hearts style combat. It's not the the turn-based combat that they used to have. I think Final Fantasy it's such a huge franchise. It's not going anywhere, and you can jump in at any point. That's the nice thing about the numbered entries, is that each one is totally separate and disconnected from the last one.
Mm-hmm.
There were some things that were missing at the Game Awards that people didn't see. We didn't get an announcement of New Game Plus for Spider-Man 2. There was no DLC announcement for it. We didn't get any updates on Hades 2, which I was a little bit disappointed on. There was one surprise one. I don't know if you ever played Dead Cells, or if
No,
you've
I
seen
haven't.
it. It's another roguelike game, but they have a new game that's coming out, and it's actually multiplayer, and it looks so much fun. It's called Windblown. Looks really, really cool. Aside from all of the big announcements, one of the other things that wasn't really talked about, and I think it's worth mentioning, is these games take, like we said earlier, these games take a lot of people to make, and there's a lot of work that goes into them. And this year alone has seen a lot of layoffs within the industry. Estimates are anywhere between 6,500 and 7,000 people laid off in the industry this year. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people that work really hard to give us these games for us to enjoy, to put 80 plus hours into. So I think it's worth mentioning that these people have lost their jobs, and just keep in mind that, like, when you bash a studio, or you're bashing something that, like, a game that a lot of people worked on, like, the effect that it then has on the developers and the company that are making it.
Mm-hmm.
If something comes out and it's buggy or it's glitchy, like, these things can be patched, and it's not right to harass the developers or anybody for these things. There are various reasons as to why the layoffs have been happening, and I think one of the companies, because Bungie, the developers of Destiny, they laid off 100 people just recently, and the community was not happy about it for the way they handled it, for their response after. Even now, there was just an article that IGN did where they talked about Bungie basically laying off these people because they weren't meeting their numbers, sales wise. So they cut people to try and make up for that, because part of their deal when Sony acquired them, they are fully autonomous until they basically don't meet their quota. And at that point, if they don't, Sony gets to fully take over the board and take over the game, which at this point might not be a bad thing. I love Destiny. I've been playing that game since it came out. I have skipped the last couple of seasons. I feel like just due to I feel like they're not listening to player feedback, and that's a big thing. And that's why there's an award for it at the Game Awards, is, community support. And especially for an ongoing game, it's hard. You look at something like Fortnite running as long as it is, and people are, like you said, how many people were not happy with, over some of the changes? You can't
Yeah,
please
you can't
everybody,
please
but
everyone, but you have to know how to keep your numbers up. Um,
you have to keep your core community. That's the
yeah.
base of it too. And I think Bungie's struggling with that right now. And maybe they need to look towards some of these other ongoing games like Fortnite. You look at Call of Duty, you look at Warframe, which most people would be like, oh, what is that? But if the game's been being developed and it's ongoing for 10 years, they're doing something right. Like, they're not just making this game for free. People are playing it.
Yeah, there's a give and take with that. With a smaller game, even that not everybody loves or not everybody knows, I'm sure the people that know it love it. Usually, you might be a smaller studio, smaller amount of people working on it, not as many updates, but keeping your game for your players. As long
Yeah.
as you keep the game geared towards your players, you'll never really go wrong. Listen to the community, and at some points, switch it up, get in new people. But
Yeah.
if you're running the same stale thing, or if you're just doing the exact opposite of what the community says, you're gonna lose viewership, and that's what Destiny is going through right now.
Yeah.
They're losing players because all these other games are evolving and they're stagnant, not giving the players
Yep.
what they want.
Yep. People will definitely. I'm guilty of it. I'll play something else. Simple as that. There are a million games out there. There's a million different things for me to play.
Yeah,
So
I don't have enough time to play all the games I want to, let alone play the ones that I don't.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly.
I have so many games sitting on my shelf that I need to play. But on that note, I hope you took those last words with some wisdom and take it home with you. Don't bash your studios. Those are people with jobs.
They're
Give
people
them
with
a
lives.
chance.
They put in a lot of work for us to be happy.
Yeah.
And
things get fixed in time. Like, you don't complain and then you see it different tomorrow. Look at Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk was a highly anticipated game that flopped on release because of all that was wrong with it. Now it just got best ongoing game. So
yeah,
you have to also give people slack. It's not going to change overnight because it's hard work. It's a difficult job to be in game development. It's a long going process. I mean, it takes longer to develop a game than it does to make a TV show, movie, or any type of media that you're looking at currently. So on that note, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Beer and Skittles podcast. We hope you enjoyed the video game talks. Let us know if you want to see more video game content from us. Let us know what you thought of the trailers that were shown. What do you think about the awards? Do you hope that they change them for next year? Go to our DM and comments with all this information, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.